Hey, Leilani with The Magical Solution here. So I just got finished watching a video about the story of Buddha, and I love hearing the retelling of Siddhartha. I think it's like the best story ever. And so I listened to another rendition of it, and it got me thinking, it just got me thinking about today, right? As per usual, I always try and relate everything back to current situations so that we can glean some insight. And what I learned was that, you know how everyone says, oh, you need suffering to be a spiritual person, which is bullshit, by the way. You don't. But it's a common misconception, very popular rumor, that you need suffering in order to be a spiritual person. But what I think people are trying to say when they say suffering is not necessarily a physical suffering, being uncomfortable, being homeless, being starved, giving up all your worldly possessions, blah, 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 blah. What is more meant by suffering is that suffering is a catalyst. It's supposed to be a catalyst. It's supposed to be something that moves the spirit so much so out of its comfort that the spirit has no choice but to transform into something greater, right? And so essentially, it's kind of like an existential crisis. Let's be for real. It's a mental suffering. And an existential crisis, a mental suffering, requires you to care about things, right? So if you care about puppies and then you see someone harming a puppy, that is going to throw you into a crisis inside. It's going to trigger you. It's going to move your spirit to action, right? So this is what people are talking about when they say you need suffering to be spiritually enlightened. Here's where I'm coming in to say that we have done an amazing job as a collective to numb ourselves to suffering, right? We've televised wars, we've live streamed, murder, suicide, terrorist attacks, all this stuff. We've condoned children getting blown away in schools, essentially, because no one is getting in trouble for that shit. We've condoned human child sex trafficking because no one seems to give a shit about that. We have numbed ourselves to every possible type of atrocity that humanity can inflict upon itself and on nature, that nothing moves us anymore. Nothing moves us anymore. And because of that, people are stagnant. People are not going into a transformative state. People are not being catalysts or catapulted into their next phase. People are not being moved by anything. And we've known this. We've known this for a while. The war on empathy, the war on care, and actually giving a fuck about people and things and situations outside of yourself. We've seen that the war on that type of consciousness has been going on for the longest time. And that's why there are so many, aesthetics and gurus and mystics and saints and philosophers and stuff that are trying to get you to take drugs, to go into trance meditation, to they're trying to give you techniques to help you wake up, because the suffering that we so adore out here in the spiritual community no longer moves us until it actually hits home. Once you yourself are in a state of suffering, you're not moved. It's only until you yourself are suffering. And that's some bullshit, right? Because the one thing that a lot of these mystics, saints, heroes, legends, the Buddhas of the world, the Bodhisattvas of the world, the Christs of the world, what they all have in common is that they say that enlightenment will never be a sort of universal thing. It'll be a very slow process, and they will have to keep coming back over and over and over again in the cycle of samsara, in the cycle of reincarnation. They have to keep coming back over and over and over again to assist mankind in their evolution, because it is such a slow process. But we are intentionally making it slower by numbing ourselves to suffering. So now, instead of having a collective enlightenment, we are literally waiting for one person at a time, because one person at a time is so numb to suffering unless it is happening to they themselves. And that's some bullshit. I just want to say that. That's some bullshit. I think y'all need to get it together. Have some empathy. Give a fuck a little bit. Just a little bit. When you see something sad happen, care. You know what I mean? Allow yourself to be moved into action. It's worth it. I promise. Anyway, that's my rant for this morning. If you want to know more about me, if you want to know more about what I do, if you want to know more about my business, head on over to my website, www.themagicalsolution.com. I'm currently teaching classes on spiritual development. I've been doing it for years. And yeah, let's talk about these kinds of things, because it gets deep. It gets pretty wild. But thanks for hanging in there with me for this long. Have a happy Wednesday. My name is Leilani. This is The Magical Solution, and this is how we grow.